This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning. Kentucky morning start right here on WKYT. We're so glad you're with us on this Thursday. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Michelle Chamberlain. It's Thursday, June 2nd.
Here we are, rolling toward the weekend now.
We're getting there. Now, go ahead. Now at 6:30, we're learning more about the man who police say shot a Madison County Sheriff's deputy. Investigators say he has had a history with law enforcement.
Also on WKYT this morning, the case against a Lexington man accused of embezzling millions of dollars is not expected to go to trial until later this month. But prosecutors are already calling for prison time.
And a Central Kentucky judge is now challenging Governor Matt Bevin over one of his executive orders. Hear why he's comparing the order to a neutron bomb.
Few showers out there early this morning. They're very spotty. Not everybody's seeing those early this morning, but look, a front's over us. That's going to give us spotty thunderstorms. Not showers, but thunderstorms later on today. I'm going to show you if we expect any severe weather out of this coming up.
New this morning, we're getting our first look at the man who investigators say shot and injured a Madison County Sheriff's deputy.
Police say Deputy Kevin Crutcher was shot by 51-year-old Daniel Pigg during a traffic stop on Arthur Jackson Road. A dramatic afternoon just outside of Berea. WKYT's Mark Barber is joining us now with the latest on the investigation and some new information. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Bill. And the latest on the investigation, of course, centers around the 51-year-old who's accused of shooting the deputy. We're learning much more about that man, Daniel Pigg, from officials here at the Madison County Detention Center. They say that he was booked into the jail here 6 times from 2011 to 2014. Now we're getting our first look at the suspected shooter from the mugshot posted on the Kentucky Online Offender website. Take a look. According to state data, Pigg was convicted on a felony drug charge in 2014 and on a felony theft by taking charge in 2015. Criminal records show that he was sentenced to 2 years in prison last year. This morning, it is still unclear why he was released early. State police say Pigg shot Deputy Kevin Crutcher yesterday afternoon after he was pulled over outside his home. Investigators say Pigg got out of his truck and started shooting. The deputy was hit once in the stomach. Investigators tell WKYT he was able to return fire, killing Pigg. The 51-year-old's brother-in-law says he had a troubled past, but he did not think he would ever pull a gun on a deputy.
He never was afraid of a man in his life, but I didn't think he'd ever shoot at somebody. He just, I've seen him get in arguments with people, but I never known him, drawing a gun on nobody or nothing since I've known him.
The deputy, who is a 9-year veteran of the Madison County Sheriff's Office, is recovering this morning. He was released from the hospital yesterday, and he is now back home with his family. Live in Richmond, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Mark, thank you very much. Federal prosecutors are seeking prison time for a Kentucky accountant who spent much of his last 6 years hiking the Appalachian Trail as a fugitive. Investigators
say James Hammis is accused of embezzling millions of dollars, and he's expected to stand trial later this month. WKYT's Caitlin Sentner is at our live desk this morning with more on the case. Caitlin?
Good morning, Michelle. Prosecutors wrote the Milwaukee native's sole motivation for embezzling millions of dollars seems to be sheer greed. Just yesterday, federal prosecutors said they want a prison term of 7 years for the former Lexington-based Pepsi employee. James Hammis pleaded guilty last year to wire fraud after authorities say he embezzled $8.7 million into a sham account. The government sentencing memo says Hammis had a complex exit strategy, studying books on how to disappear and take on new identities. But his run from authorities ended when a hiker recognized him along the Appalachian Trail in Virginia. He'll be sentenced later this month on the 22nd. The U.S. District Judge warned him she could impose the maximum of 20 years in prison. At the live desk, Caitlin Sentner, WKYT.
Caitlin, thank you very much. A Central Kentucky judge is challenging one of Governor Matt Bevin's recent executive orders. Franklin Circuit Judge Philip Shepard is concerned about the governor's order to abolish the Workers' Compensation Nomination Commission and recreate it with new members. Judge Shepard compared the order to a neutron bomb, saying, quote, "It destroyed all of the people but left the structure in place." The judge has not ruled on the case, but he called the governor's actions troubling.
Firefighters say lightning may have caused a house fire in Jessamine County last night. It happened at a home on College Drive just outside Nicholasville. No one was hurt. Firefighters say the official cause of the fire is still under investigation.
State police say they have located the plane that is believed to have been owned by a pilot who disappeared in western Kentucky earlier this week. Investigators say 70-year-old Robert Dalzell took off from a Grayson County airport in his small plane on Monday. He was supposed to be flying over to Owensboro, but he never made it. Yesterday, search crews found the plane wreckage and a body in a wooded area of Hancock County. Police are still waiting to positively confirm if the body is that of Dalzell. They say the body has been taken to Louisville for an autopsy. There has been another delay in the case against a man accused of killing a Woodford County little boy.
Yeah, a hearing was scheduled for Ronald Exantis yesterday morning. He is charged with murder, burglary, and assault. Police say Exantis broke into a Versailles home last December and stabbed 6-year-old Logan Tipton. The judge said because of attorneys in the case are busy with other cases, it will be another 2 months before he can decide if Exantis is competent to stand trial. Logan's mother had this to say after the hearing.
We firmly believe that Ronald Exantis murdered our beloved boy randomly and in cold blood for his own disgusting reasons. We do not believe that he is insane, and we will be waiting patiently for the evidence to prove this in his inevitable trial.
Exantis' attorney says he suffered a psychotic break and doesn't remember anything. If he's found competent, attorneys say it could be at least another year before the case goes to trial. Police have arrested a man accused of breaking into cars at a Georgetown cemetery over the weekend. 35-year-old David Harris is charged with theft after investigators say he stole purses from 2 parked cars at the cemetery. They say Harris also had some outstanding warrants. At this time, police have not found the stolen purses.
A former Kentucky high school teacher is in jail this morning after police say he is accused of raping 2 students. The Boyd County Sheriff's Office says 45-year-old Howard Faber was arrested for raping 2 16-year-old girls that he had met while teaching at Boyd County High School. Faber used to be the junior ROTC teacher and a training instructor at the school. School officials say Faber planned to resign this summer, but made it immediate in April when the investigation started.
Just days after a mudslide in Perry County, people living there in a community are being warned there could be a second mudslide. The mudslide happened in the Hard-Burley community. Now the American Red Cross fears a couple of holding ponds from previous mining could also collapse and damage homes. Several people have already left their homes in the area. The Red Cross is helping them with food and hotel cost. The Division of Abandoned Mined Lands says an inspector will be looking at the site in the coming days to get a better idea of the situation.
Time this morning is 6:38 here on WKYT. A Central Kentucky college has announced it plans to close soon. St. Catharine College in Washington County will officially shut down next month. The college's Board of Trustees voted to close it due to declining enrollment. St. Catharine's president blames the decline on a mistake by the Department of Education after it withheld student aid from the school. Officials say it would take $5 million to save the school from closing, while the school works out the issue with the Department of Education. The city of Newport, Kentucky, and a St. Louis-based company have reached a deal to build a Ferris wheel along the Ohio River. Expected to open up in the summer of 2017, officials from Koch Development say it will cost more than $10 million to build. It will be 235 feet tall, a big sky wheel attraction. The sky wheel will feature 30 6-person glass-enclosed gondolas with passengers taking 3 to 4 rotations during a 10 to 12-minute ride. Officials say construction on the Ferris wheel will begin after the company receives final approval from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The Riverside attraction is expected to draw about 500,000 riders annually.
Looks like a fun ride.
Probably some great views there, you know, of the city, the river, and both sides of the river.
When you get to the very top,
yeah.
The very
and
scary
hope you don't
top.
get stuck.
Yes.
Myrtle Beach put a large Ferris wheel up a few years back, and
do you get on it?
Enjoy that. It's good to look from the ground, look up.
You just watch the other people get on it, right?
People seem to have a great time. 6:40 on WKYT this morning. Great to have you along with us here on your Thursday.
Yeah, speaking of rides, let's see how your ride's going to be this morning with traffic.
Yeah, your commute. Here is Officer Don in live drive traffic. Good morning, Don.
Good morning. Of course, we have the Todd's Road construction project between Man o' War and Hayes Boulevard. Things are moving okay through there, keeping a close eye this morning as crews are already on scene trying to do some work. As far as the interstate goes, 75 north and southbound still looks great. No problems there. Let's get a look outside and we'll show you in real time what's happening around Lexington. No trouble to report on Nicholasville Road. Versailles Road past Keeneland, still in good shape. 16 minutes from Nicholasville, 16 from Georgetown, and 18 minutes from Ferris to Lexington. Now back to you in the studio.
Hey, Don, thank you very much. We can help you all day long because you can get the latest traffic and weather information anytime with the WKYT Weather Plus Traffic app. Download that for free in the app or Google Play stores. And we have more news from WKYT coming up here on your Thursday morning.
So we're used to hearing Arnold Schwarzenegger say, "I'll be back." But he may think twice about going on another safari ride. What do you think of that, Micah?
That's actually pretty impressive. Early this morning, a wet weekend in store. Before we hit the weekend, we still have more storms to go through. Got a lot to talk about, and I'll have that coming up next.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
Few showers out there early this morning as you're walking out the door. Some spots seeing it, most spots not so much. Let's work northbound. Northbound is where we see a few light showers. Nothing really going on. Falmouth, you're next in line here in about 15 minutes. Still some bits and pieces of some light showers down toward the south, and that's right over the Howard Rogers Parkway. It's not really soaked this morning, but you're getting a little bit of rain. That's over Somerset, working its way up 127 in that 27 corridor. Both of those still a little bit wet this morning. Now, let me break down what you can expect the rest of the day. It looks like widespread rain across much of the southern half of the United States and also Mississippi Valley region. For us, we have spotty thunderstorms in the forecast, so you will get breaks here and there, and that's mainly during the afternoon, which we cannot rule out a stray severe cell like last night, like we had one, maybe two. But for the most part, we're not looking at widespread severe weather. We're looking at some heavy downpours, though. That's going to be our main concern as we travel off in through the rest of the afternoon, off into the evening hours. Then we hit Friday. Here's Friday, right? You get into the afternoon, and that front, this is front number one, okay? We have actually two fronts. The first front, it sags to the south. Southern half of the viewing area there on Friday will have the better chance at rain. That means if you're going out to these yard sales, the northern half of 68, northern half of 25, that's where you're going to be staying mainly dry. And then we head off toward your Saturday, okay? Saturday, many events going on too. And the Russell County Fair, don't forget, that kicks off Saturday. And look how it looks there in Russell County. It doesn't look all that good, okay? But there's still spotty showers and thunderstorms. You're not going to have it all day long. It's just not one big mass of rain rolling over you. Moorhead has their Trail Fest. We have Cruise on Main there in Harrodsburg. That's going to be Saturday evening. And just know you're going to have to dodge some of these thunderstorms. The better opportunity of rain is today and Saturday. Friday about a 40%, Sunday about a 40% chance of rain. So if you do have some events streaming off into Sunday, just know that's probably the best time to go. Temperatures there in the mid-70s, and temperatures will continue to drop too. Watch this on your 7-day forecast. It's 82 today with those spotty storms. Tomorrow, it's mainly south of I-64, and then we head towards your Saturday and Sunday. Remember, Saturday is the better chance of rain with the next front, the second front, to roll on through and will give us some showers and thunderstorms to deal with, and then those temperatures just drop. We're there in the 70s, but you got to remember, mid to upper 70s is where we typically are this time of year. So we've been well ahead of schedule the past couple of weeks, really. So now it's going to drop it back down toward at least close to average.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been bad. It hasn't been too
bad. We had people yesterday with at least their car thermometer showing like 90 degrees, that kind of thing.
I saw a lot of those on Twitter,
so,
absolutely.
Pretty hot out there, so a little shower will be all right. Time this morning is 6:47. Arnold Schwarzenegger has been chased by a lot of things over the years, liquid metal terminators, armed mercenaries, even predators. But an African elephant, that may be a first.
Yeah, video popped up on YouTube showing a safari's close encounter with an elephant in South Africa. First, the elephant blocks the road, inspecting the group of gawkers. Then it chases down the vehicle as it departs. The story turns wonderfully random when you find out the person in the video is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold.
I skipped it, but I guess I'll say, oh, look. The former governor, I like that, has been documenting a trip to South Africa on social media, and he posted the encounter himself, saying he couldn't have written it better if it was a movie.
Sometimes it just happens that way, right? especially when you're out in the safari.
I read that he knew the elephant was going to come back.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the way he saw it turn around and then kind of peek back at him. He was like, uh-oh, it's going to charge us.
Well, looks like he had fun. Arnold, there it is again. 6:48, we'll be back on WKYT this morning.
I like that. More news when we come back.
Coming up, we'll talk with the head of the CDC after a baby is born in the Northeast with birth defects from the Zika virus. Plus, we followed their harrowing journey up Mount Everest. Now these climbers join us in studio. More real news coming up on CBS This Morning, next.
And the time this morning is 6:51, and there's Gail getting ready to go at CBS This Morning, which is coming up at 7 with all the latest from around the world and your eye-opener just a few minutes away here on WKYT.
A Central Kentucky Sheriff's deputy is recovering from home this morning after he was shot during a traffic stop in Madison County.
Investigators say Deputy Kevin Crutcher stopped 51-year-old Daniel Pigg's truck outside his home on Arthur Jackson Road yesterday afternoon. That's near Berea. And that's when they say Pigg got out, pulled a gun, and shot the deputy. Deputy Crutcher returned fire, hitting and killing Pigg. Family members tell us Pigg had a troubled past, but they never thought he would shoot somebody.
The Kentucky accountant who spent much of his 6 years hiking the Appalachian Trail as a fugitive will go to trial this month. James Hammis is accused of embezzling millions of dollars. Yesterday, federal prosecutors recommended at least a 7-year sentence for him.
Classes will resume today at UCLA just a day after a professor was killed by a male student in a murder-suicide right on the school's campus. LAPD SWAT teams armed with automatic weapons swarmed the campus after reports of an active shooter. That was around 10 o'clock yesterday morning. The campus went into immediate lockdown. They canceled all classes and exams for the day. Police say they recovered a gun and a note at the crime scene. They have not said what led to the deadly shooting.
Hillary Clinton kicks off a big campaign swing in California today with her sights set on 2 rivals. The former Secretary of State is expected to blast presumptive GOP nominee Donald Trump while delivering a major foreign policy in San Diego. She's also trying to wave off the embarrassing loss to Bernie Sanders in the state's crucial primary next Tuesday. Hannah Daniels has the latest.
Hillary Clinton is expected to use her foreign policy address today to declare her likely Republican opponent unfit for office. Clinton's senior policy advisor says she'll, quote, speak extensively about the reasons why Donald Trump is unqualified to be our commander-in-chief, citing his litany of dangerous policies. Policies she blasted yesterday during a rally in New Jersey.
He has attacked our closest allies. He has said, let's pull out of NATO.
Clinton also called the presumptive GOP nominee a fraud over his now defunct Trump University.
Trump and his employees took advantage of vulnerable Americans, encouraging them to max out their credit cards, empty their retirement savings.
Trump fired back during a campaign event in Sacramento.
She's one of the worst secretaries of state in the history of our country. She went to sleep when our ambassador was murdered.
Despite efforts to pivot to the general election, Clinton remains locked in a bitter primary battle with rival Bernie Sanders. In California, the latest NBC Marist poll has both candidates virtually tied.
Wall Street says they could live with Hillary Clinton, they could live with Donald Trump, but they cannot live with us.
Clinton is likely to gain enough delegates in next week's primaries to secure the Democratic nomination. Hannah Daniels, CBS News.
A homeless kitten has a new lease on life thanks to the Art Institute of Colorado and the Denver Animal Shelter. The organizations teamed up for the Sonic Project to help animals with disabilities have a better life. Sonic, the 4-month-old kitten, was born with an orthopedic deformity, but the art students are using design along with a 3D printer to make a prosthetic limb for Sonic. She should be up for adoption very soon.
All right, helping that little kitty along. And our time this morning is 6:55. WKYT was your source on air and online yesterday as we brought you the breaking news out of Madison County. And now we're learning more about the sheriff's deputy who survived and the man who died in a shootout with the officer near Berea. We'll continue to update that story on our newscasts and on WKYT.com. In Frankfort, a judge compares an order from Governor Bevin to a neutron bomb. The judge has has not said yet whether he'll strike down the order that dismissed members of the commission. Also trending this morning on our website, the 911 call made by the mother of the child who slipped into a gorilla exhibit at the Cincinnati Zoo. That has now been released. The family now says it has no plans to sue the zoo. And we'll keep that story updated as well. But the phone call is really emotional. You could see the difficult situation everybody was in. The search begins for a new head baseball coach at the University of Kentucky. It comes after Gary Henderson announced his resignation. Henderson led UK to 30 wins in each of the last 5 seasons, the first such streak in school history, but didn't reach the NCAAs the last couple of years. On Kentucky.com this morning, the Lexington City Council is apparently about to make about $1 million in changes to Mayor Jim Gray's proposed budget. The largest chunk of that would go to an extra 0.5% boost in pay for city workers. A lot of people around Somerset this morning are remembering Dr. James Crace, who provided care to more than 10,000 families over the years. He also served for a time in the state Senate. Dr. Crace has died at the age of 78. CBS This Morning is coming up at 7 with your eye opener. And of course, we'll have local updates. Everybody now in place there, studying, getting ready for the show ahead from the CBS Broadcast Center. Join us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And for the latest, WKYT.com.
Yeah, we still have a couple of showers outside, especially southern half. That's where we're seeing some of those showers make their way on through, and we'll go through the day, guys, this afternoon. We're going to be seeing scattered showers and thunderstorms in the forecast. It's about 60%. Any events going on today? No, you're going to have to dodge some storms.
And nobody's more up to date than you. Thank you for being with us.
Have a great day, everyone.